Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Pollyanna Creative. This is my YouTube channel where I show some of my stitching and knitting and creative endeavours. I know it's been quite a while since my last one. I have been busy, but it's just been a really weird world that we're living in at the moment. Um, we are now the middle of winter. I've got my trusty coat on because it's quite chilly in my sewing room at the moment. Um, we are also just begun stage 2, or a second round of, I should say, a second round of stage 3 lockdowns for coronavirus. Um, Thankfully, I don't live in Melbourne where they've got stage 4, but stage 3 is painful enough for a lot of people. Personally, it doesn't affect me too much. I've been working from home since March, so that's what is that? 4 months. Um, I'm kind of used to it now. It's kind of hard to remember what it used to be like going into the office every day. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of used to that now. That whole working from home lifestyle. It hasn't all been easy, but I have to admit I've had it a lot easier than some people. I've got a really good job at the moment. There's no chance of me um, losing that at all. I've got really good family. I've got nothing to complain about. My sister, however, has been planning on getting married on the 22nd of this month, so that's only 2 weeks away. And it's been pretty difficult for her with the constant changes in restrictions. They're easing and then cracking down again. So currently, you're only allowed 5 people at a wedding, and they are still going to go ahead with it with 5 people. So that's a bride, groom, 2 witnesses, and the celebrant. Um, so it's been a bit of a hard one for her. They, they've worked out how to live stream it, so it's going to be a live streamed wedding. This is 2020, and yeah, trying to make the best of it that they can. So yeah, wedding's still going ahead in 2 weeks, and then we'll have a celebration later again when all the restrictions ease. But I think I'm going to have to film this in a few installments. I haven't got too long at the moment. But I did want to get on here and show you what I have finished. I'm going to have to stop it because there is a cat at the door. I'll be back. Okay, so cat's now happy, I think. So I was wanting to show you what I finished. Um, I did mention it in my last one, I think. I can't quite remember everything I talked about in my last one. Finished it. It's okay. Sorry, guys. I think my audio cut out on this video. But pretty much, I'm just showing you my finished project that I made for Jane and her fiance's wedding present, and I was really happy with how it turned out. I have shown it progress shots in some of the past videos, so you've possibly heard me talk about it before. Um, I was really happy with how the framing turned out on it. When I sent it off, it was kind of crinkly because I'd backed it with felt, and so that was so that the threads didn't show through from the back. But I wasn't quite sure how that would translate into a framed piece. So the framers did an amazing job. It is super flat and just looks really professional. Really happy with the colours as well. The house that they're living in is quite an older house, and I think the timber frame will look really good wherever they decide to end up hanging it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I was going to tell you. I think I waffled on for telling you about other random stuff, but that's probably the main bits. Now, I have more finished objects to share with you, and then I'll probably have to stop for a bit, but I have been showing my progress on my cross stitches on this podcast, or do you call it a podcast? YouTube channel, for quite a while, and I also finished them. I've also had them framed. This is the first one. So I started this one like 3 years ago. It's think it's called Red Birds and Berries. Um, it's by a G-Sci Press. I'll try linking, I think there's an Instagram, to this. I think she has an Etsy shop, which I would have bought the pattern off. It's just cross stitch. The leaves are outlined, and I don't know whether, again, you probably can't quite pick it up on this. Angles. See my reflection instead. But all the background is black worked. And initially I was like quite upset, probably not the right word, that the background, because it's supposed to be done on like a linen coloured linen, with white thread, but I only had white linen, so I did it with a kind of ecru, I think that's how you say it, thread colour. But it wasn't really showing up unless you saw it in the right light. And although this is not showing on the camera that great, it looks really clear now that it's framed. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. Oh, now this is the middle one actually. This is not the first one I did. This is the first one I did. Yeah. So this one I started 3 years ago. It took me a year to do that one, and then a year to do this one. And then then there's a third one, which is the one I just finished. They all have different patterns for the background. Got to hear my cat in the background actually. So all 3 are done and hanging on my wall. I'm really happy with how this turned out too. And I also think the framing guy did a really good job of these as well. I picked out the colours, so I'll give myself some of the credit. Because it's got greys and browns in it, like the grey in the bird, but then the background's kind of a browny colour. So I think this colour that I picked out here just goes well with everything. I'm just really happy with everything at the moment. So 3 cross stitches, been a long time in the making. They're all done, and I am so happy with how they turned out. There is another 3 that I haven't got the pattern for. There is another 3 in the design. There are 3 bluebirds with berries. However, I'm kind of sick of doing black work. As much as I like the blue ones, I don't think I'll be doing them at the moment. 10 years down the track, I might change my mind, but I'm just really happy with these ones. I have started a new cross stitch. It's been a while, so of course I've started new projects. You want to say hello? Camera? Say hello, world. My name is Lolly, and I do not like being held still. She runs this world, don't you? You run this house. Don't step on them. You're my best friend, aren't you? Don't step on them. Okay, I'll let you out in a minute. I've got to stop soon. Anyway, okay. So I'll have to pause this, but I will be back to show you my new cross stitch. And although I said that I wouldn't be doing more black work along the same lines as the ones I've just finished, I'm not doing more black work. It's just cross stitch. However, there is a kind of a theme going along with it. Anyway, I'll be back. See you later. Hi again, everyone, and I am back after a little bit of a break. So hopefully I'll be able to finish this episode all in one hit now, instead of having to keep stop. But the last thing I mentioned was that I had started a new cross stitch, and this is it here. So I've done, well, I call this a lot. I know some people are pretty quick at cross stitching, but this is a lot for me. This is like days and days and days of work. I was on a bit of a cross stitch roll, and I just kept working on it there for quite a while. So, as you might be able to tell, I have stuck with birds. I'm going to be the crazy lady with a heap of birds cross-stitched on a wall. But I like these ones, and my favourite thing about these ones this one is that it's an Australian bird, or Australian birds. So it's cockatoos, for those of you who could recognise from the one that is almost finished. I've got the pattern here. So it's this one here. I bought this pattern in Broken Hill, like, I don't know how many years ago that'd be, like 6 years ago maybe, when we were on a holiday there. Oh, it might not be that long ago. But I've always liked it. I knew that I'd do it one day, and that one day is now. So I've started it. I don't know when I will finish it. It's just something to continue to work on when I feel like cross stitching. It's the Country Threads collection one. I've just got the pattern. I used Ada cloth that I already had, so I only had one piece that was going to be the right size, so I'm doing it on an 18 count, which is meaning that it's a bit finer than, I think it recommends a 14 count, but that's okay. So patterns, just no, that's the instructions. Okay, goes over 3 pages. 1, 2, 3. This one obviously is the one I've done the most of. We've still got a long way to go, but I'm really happy with how it's looking at the moment. Be a bit closer. So my sister Julia is also a bit of a cross stitcher, and she's doing Country Threads one as well at the moment. So we're kind of motivating each other with our progress. I think her one's on here. Hers is gorgeous. There you go. Tiny little picture. See if I can get it on the camera. There you go. It's Bluey's boots. A little blue heeler in the boots. So she's done, I think, most of the boots now, and she's still got the dog and the fence post behind it. Our dog, or it's her dog, Ruby, is the inspiration behind it. She loves her blue heelers. So it's such a cute one. Who would not be able to resist doing a cross stitch of a little blue heeler puppy? So she's doing hers. I'm doing mine, and that's kind of been our bit of a project in the cold winter's nights during coronavirus lockdown. I mean, the last few weeks we haven't been locked down, or it's been less restrictions, but we're just going down. Back to stage 3, back to only being able to go out for essential services. So, yeah, it is what it is. There's a lot of people that are doing it a lot tougher than we are. So just got to live with it. But what I have been working on, so I haven't actually been doing cross stitch for a couple of weeks now. That was my first thing. Then I almost sold my spinning wheel because I haven't really been using it for quite a while. I'm pretty much self-taught using YouTube, and it was just getting a bit too hard, taking too long to do much at all. So I almost sold it. I listed it on Gumtree. I had someone inquire, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll finish spinning all the wool that I had on the bobbins, so I can keep it. So that's what I did, which is this skein here. So this is 100% alpaca, and this is like my second. I don't have my first. My second ever skein of wool fully completed. It's really soft, and as I was doing it, I'm like, I actually really like doing this. Like, why am I selling it? Thing being that this took me so long to do because I was pulling out every little bit of dirt out of the alpaca wool, because anyone who spins from a fresh fleece, I don't know the proper terminology, but a fleece that's just been shorn off the alpaca in the paddock and you're just using that, you would know that it is very dirty. There's plant matter, vegetable matter, dead bugs, and who knows what. Grass seeds. I get these little corkscrew ones. They're the most annoying. So I was pulling out everything before I then card it to spin it, which was the time-consuming bit. So I almost sold it. I decided, oh, I really like doing this. Oh, and by the way, I did another piece. And this is half alpaca and half, I think it's sheep's wool of some sort. So it was using what was on one of my bobbins and what was on a bobbin when I actually bought the spinning wheel. So I'm not really sure what's actually in this. So that were the two that I did. I'm like, actually really enjoying this. And I'm like, I think I've been too paranoid about it, too pedantic about getting all the dirt out before I spin it. So I decided to keep the wheel. I had to get back to the lady who had inquired and said, sorry, it's not available anymore. And I have been practicing my spinning since. So I've spun up, I've done 2 more lots. This is the last lot that I did. So I've got a nice big, do you call this a cake of wool? I think it could be. I don't know the correct terminology. This is again 100% alpaca. Um, I don't know all the terminology. I'm getting a lot more even. So this, my first lot had like lots of bumps. We'll call it textured. We'll call it, that was like the whole design that I was going for. But this is a lot more even. It's really, really soft. Been washed now because alpaca, you don't have to wash before you spin it because it's got no lanolin in it. It's not oily. So you wash it once you've spun it, and then, so yeah, it's really nice and soft. Yeah, it still smells a bit alpaca-y, which I think I could just wash it in something that smells good to fix that. I mean, the wool wash I used has a scent, but probably not enough. And I have found that I pull out all the really big bits of dirt and whatever before I card it. And then the carding process gets rid of more dirt. And then the spinning process gets rid of even more. And then, so you end up with like 2 bobbins full of wool that's been spun one way, and then you spin them back against each other. And that gets rid of even more dirt. And then you wash it. Oh, sorry. Then you wind it on a niddy noddy, which is a ridiculous name, into a skein. Then you wash it, which gets rid of obviously a lot more dirt. And then by the time you go to knit it, there's not a huge amount left. And then there'll be like a couple of little bits here and there, but you pull them out as you're knitting. So it actually ends up really clean. I don't know what I was worrying about. I mean, this is the cleanest of all. This would be perfect for doing something for a baby where you want to be 100% sure there's nothing that's going to be scratching them. But I've I've spun this. This is my second one because my first one I have already knitted up. So in the past, I've knitted. I'm normally more of a crocheter than a knitter. I find knitting a bit slow. Crochet, I'm like really fast. So in the past, the only things I've knitted are scarves. I've done 2 scarves. One was a full rib only pattern done in acrylic. The other one was made out of hand spun, hand dyed wool that my best friend from school made for me. And I did that with a cable through it. So I learnt cabling. This is the first time I've ever tried knitting a garment, and it probably looks like nothing at the moment. This is a cardigan, because my theory is that cardigan will be easier to fit. So it's knitted top down. Now I'll show you the top. Am I showing you the right side? Nope, I'm showing you the wrong side. Okay, so top down. This is the right side towards you. That's obviously the collar, the yoke bit, apparently. It's done with like a rib pattern along the top. I learned how to increase on a knit row and I learned how to increase on a purl row. So they're 2 things I learned how to knit. 2 things I learned. Mum taught me those ones. I learned how to change wool from one ball to the next because I ran out of my first lot. YouTube taught me that one. And then I'm not long past where you have to split for the front, then a sleeve hole, the back, another sleeve hole, and the rest of the front. So I had to learn how to, move stitches onto these things, stitch holders, maybe. I think that's what they're called. Never done that before. That wasn't hard. I just never done it before. I then had to learn how to cast on in row. what's that bit? Somewhere along there. Oh, that'll be this line here. YouTube told me that one. And I did it all, and then I was 2 stitches short, and I had no idea why. So then I had to undo it all and redo it all, which probably doesn't seem like much of a hassle for people who are used to knitting, but I'm pretty slow at this, and it was hard work. But I've done it. I'm now onto just the stockinette stitch. I'm hoping that's what it is. I'll show you the right side. I think from there all the way down to the bottom, and then it's just a rib at the bottom. Hang on, I'll show you what the pattern looks like. Then you'll be able to possibly understand what I'm talking about. So this is off Etsy. First pattern I've ever bought off, no, not off Etsy, Ravelry. I've never been a Ravelry user until I started spinning my own wool. It is the Sunday cardigan by Petite Knit. This is the mohair, is that how you say it? Mohair edition, which is the one that I originally swatched for. And I'm like, yep, this, I know it's not going to look the same. Like, yep, this is the right tension, it should work. And then I realised, oh, there's actually a normal one as well. But anyway, I'm sticking with the instructions for this one. So I really like the look of it, this one here. I'm not expecting mine will look the same, but I'm hoping it's still something that I like. Obviously, I haven't dyed this wool, so it's just going to be undyed, which I like the look of as well. And I think as I go, the top bit, because being the wool that I first spun, is a bit more lumpier and uneven, and then it's going to get smoother and smoother as I go. I also think the first bit I spun a lot thicker, so I'm hoping that doesn't affect the overall fit at the end. And it could end up like really big and chunky up the top and then just go really little bit at the bottom. But we will see how we go. So I don't really know much what is normally talked about with these sorts of things, what to tell you. Other than it's been a really good pattern so far for a beginner to learn new things. It hasn't been too complicated at all so far. I'm not looking forward to the sleeves. So hang on, I think I'll say this right. It's worked in circular needles, going backwards and forwards from the top down, and then you pick up stitches on the sleeves and work in the rounds for the sleeves. I have never picked up stitches. I've never worked in the round. That is something I will learn in the future. It's a future Polly problem. But I'm hoping it's not too complicated because I really want a cardigan. Yeah, anyway, this has been my exciting project for the COVID lockdown. And I think I'm going alright so far. I will report back with my progress. Hopefully it doesn't end up unfinished in a corner because I can't do something. So far, so good. Anyway. Yeah, so that's been my exciting knitting project. And I'm actually really excited to be knitting a garment, like an item of clothing that's not a scarf, because I've never done that before. I haven't even really done crochet clothing, really. Apart from scarves, beanies. Yeah, I don't think I've ever made a cardigan or a jumper or anything like that. Now, as part of my whole spinning process, I also Googled how to dye alpaca wool. So this one, which looks nicer than that, it's kind of funny on the camera. It's more of a red colour, not orange, brown. So I found out you can dye wool using citric acid and Wilton food colours. So I gave it a shot. Now this one was this is my first test, and it's because it's half alpaca, half sheep of some sort. I think it's sheep. It's kind of part of it's taken it, part of it hasn't. You can probably tell a bit there. And then I'm like, well, is it the alpaca that's not taking it, or is it the mystery wool? So I had to give it another shot. So this was just red food colouring, icing colouring, whatever it's called. And it soaked it up really quickly. It doesn't really, like when you wash it, it doesn't really leak at all. It's really good. Then I tried blue, and this is just alpaca wool, unspun, just carded. And blue does not soak up as well. So this was using royal blue, which was quite a dark blue. It's come out more of like a turquoisey, aquary colour. I'm thinking maybe the bits of dirt in the wool, like I washed it before I dyed it, but anything in the wool that's kind of yellowy has made it more of a green than a blue. And where the red one left the water quite clear, this one did not soak all the colour up. The water stayed, or the dye that I mixed up stayed pretty blue, and it just was not soaking up anymore. I tried adding vinegar, I tried heating it up, it wasn't taking any more. But that's still a nice colour, so it's not a disaster. And mind you, these are all just tests for nothing in particular. Then I tried mixing the red and the blue to make purple, and it was a really, really nice dark purple before I put the wool in. And this is what I get. So it took a lot of the red, not much of the blue, so it's more like a pinky mauvey, burgundy-ish purple. It's still more purple than the red. Like, the camera's not really like showing very good. It's more purple than this, but it's not the colour that the water was before I put it in. That makes sense. So that was interesting to learn. Red takes to wool a lot quicker and easier than blue does. I tried adding more blue, still didn't really do anything. Oh, that's cool. Um, I've also got a yellow which I can experiment with. I'll try mixing that to make orange and what's the other colour I'm missing? Green. So I can try them, and then I bought a pink as well, so I might get more of a pink than a light red. Let me try that one day. I also have black alpaca wool, so I'm thinking, all these plans that you think. I really want to try spinning it, and if this cardigan works the way it looks in my head, which, things never end up that way, but if it's really nice, if I really like it, I think I'll make myself a black one with a black alpaca wool. Yeah, that's the plan. With all this spare time that I have, which I actually have spare time now, it's just a matter of actually using it. But that's all my knitting and spinning. I did do a bit of, this is before I started spinning. You might know by now, be able to tell by now. I have a lot of hobbies, try a lot of crafts. Not necessarily good at them, but I try a lot. Anyway, this little bit of nothing useful. Yeah. It's not going to sit nice, is it? There you go. Nope, I've got a bit of thread. Tatting. So I accidentally broke my old tatting shuttle and I ordered a new one at eBay, and I'd never tried it before, so I'm like, better make sure it works. I mean, how could it not? But better make sure it works. So I started tatting, and I'd kind of forgotten how to do it, so I then, did the old YouTube it, and then I found a picture on Pinterest and kind of worked out how to do it, and it's not sitting very flat. Yeah, worked out how to do the pattern. I'll stick a photo in here. So yeah, I rediscovered tatting. I really like doing tatting, but crocheting lace is quicker, and then I never know what to use the lace for. I mean, I've done a whole doily out of tatting, and then paid my sister to tie in the ends because there was a lot of knots, and it's just sewing in ends into knots. And so yeah, that was an experience. But nobody really uses doilies these days. I used to love them. Now I'm kind of I don't like too much clutter anymore, which I still have a lot of clutter. I'm trying to minimize the clutter, so I don't need more doilies anyway. So what do you do with tattered lace? I don't really need any collars or bookmarks or I don't know. I don't know. What do people use tatting for? Christmas tree decorations? I don't need any of them. Yeah, so I can tat, but I don't really know what to use it for. Um, what else can I tell you? Oh, sewing. I haven't really done much sewing because the project that, apart from masks, been sewing masks like everybody else who has a sewing machine. I think I've talked about this before. This is my Gertie Sews Jiffy dresses. I've got her other 3 books because I love her sewing patterns. I used to love them even more. Probably don't use them as much, but there's really, really good sewing instructions in there. I really like. I like her retro style, but I don't know whether it's really me anymore. But this book is the Jiffy dresses, which is supposed to be all nice and quick and easy. So I started making a dress like, I don't know, probably the beginning of the coronavirus, like probably in March. It's not done yet because yes, it's really easy, but I lost motivation. So we have a heap of green corduroy back from primary school days. This is the popover dress, modified, and it's probably not going to show up very nicely. Okay, that's a good as good a look you'll get. So we have a lot of green corduroy. I'm like, okay, I'll give this dress a shot. I'll show you the dress. I don't think I'd be able to wear it without. Oh, it's the one out in front. There you go. I think it'll sit too low on me. A lot of things sit low on me, and then it's a low cut style to begin with. So I was thinking I'll wear it with a top underneath it anyway. Then if I'm wearing a top under it, then it can be a winter one, so a thicker material. Yep, corduroy is fine. Then I'm like, okay, well, how about I make some modifications? So I've cut mine a lot shorter and a lot less full because I wanted it to fit on the width of the corduroy pattern too. So I took out a lot of sets and quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 on the front, 2 on the back. And it's just one whole piece all the way up there. So 4 of them. So I wanted one of them to fit on the width of my material, folded in half. So I just took out a lot of the width, and I did it properly, like the whole slash and squash instead of slash and spread. So it's a lot less poof, and it's a lot shorter, which is all good and well, but it just doesn't look good on me. I mean, I haven't actually finished it, so it might end up looking better, but I just lost motivation. I've done the neckline facing because that's the only other pattern piece. Neckline facing on the inside. I've just got the armholes and the hem to do, and I've had the armholes and the hem to do for a long time. So by binding on the armholes, which I've now sewn on, I've got to fold that under. And then I've got to fold it under and then fold it under again and top stitch it down. And then a hem. And then it'll be done. So I may as well finish it whether I wear it or not. But it's just killed all my motivation. And probably because it looked really nice in my head. It's going to be this like dark green, like kind of, I don't know how to say it. Looked really good in my head. I wear it over like black stockings and a black long sleeve top. Maybe a black belt or gold belt. Or I just like have it loose, like, kind of like a trapezium tent dress, but that's going to look really good in my head. I still do. It just looks completely different in the mirror. Which these things happen. I should be used to it by now. And I should just finish it and see what it actually looks like on with, stockings and a top instead of just over whatever clothes I'm wearing at the time. But yeah, that's what I'm doing next once I finish filming this. I'm just not excited about it. I am excited about, because when I bought this dress, I wanted to make this pattern here, which is the swirl dress. It's got like gathered bit around the front. It's a wrap around, like a wrap dress, but the wrap's on the back. And I just really like it. I like the shape of the skirt. It's kind of like A-line-ish, or A-line-ish. And I've got the material for that, which I really like too, but I was going to line it. And the pattern doesn't call for lining because it's supposed to be an easy dress. Material I've got needs lining. So that's kind of motivation on that one. And then, yeah, I had to come back down here to make masks. So, kind of like on the sewing machine again. Oh, and the other thing I had to do was my sister is wearing mum's wedding dress to her wedding. So, I needed to, well, she's asked me to modify it to fit her. And with the help of my sewing teacher, or with pretty much my sewing teacher doing everything and showing me how to do it, we have modified it, fitted it. We had to take a bit in at the side seams, and the length is perfect. Mum wore a hoop, but because Jane's a bit taller, she's not using the hoop. So without a hoop, it is fine. It is perfect. Well, without a hoop and with her shoes. She's got nice high heel shoes. And then, because it's a 90s dress, mind you, it's a nice 90s dress. And it was a winter wedding back then. It's a winter wedding now, so it's all just working really well. But the sleeve head like puffs up a bit, kind of slightly left over from the 80s. Not major drama ish. It's just a little bit of a puff, and Jane doesn't really want that puff look. So Jo has taken. Well, she was going to show me. She did show me, but she needed it because it's got lace on there too, and she didn't want to touch it anymore in case the lace frayed where around the sleeve. So she wanted to put fray check on it, but she didn't have any at the time. But where I'm going with this story is she showed me what to do, which bits to undo, which bits to like take, slither off the seam allowance off this, yeah, move the seam down slightly, take it in slightly more, slither off it. I should clarify that. Take a bit off the sleeve head, but leave the rest of the dress the same. Kind of just move it up a bit. Makes sense to me now. So she showed me what to do, but she's going to do that. So it's at her place at the moment. Will be for the next 2 weeks, 1 week, 6 days, and then we will go for the final fitting and the final ironing, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Mum's dress will become Jane's wedding dress. So I had to get my sewing machine out for that as well. And I went into Spotlight to get some good quality white thread because I've just got cheapo stuff and you don't use cheapo stuff on a wedding dress. So I went in to get white thread last Sunday and I was the first person into the shop. Big long queue outside and everyone's buying mask supplies. So it was flat out there. The elastic aisle was already decimated. There's like nothing there. And that was on opening time. So that's kind of scary. We're lucky that we already had a massive elastic stash, so no issues here. And we've made a couple of masks with just ties. But elastic is so much easier to wear. Yeah, anyway. Part of the times. I think that's all I've got to tell you, all I've got to share. I would have done one of these a little while ago, but the only thing I had was my cross stitch. The wedding present and my finished cross stitches were at the framer's place, so I didn't even have them to show you. And then all I'd been doing was cross stitching. But now I've got them back. Kind of stopped on my cross stitching and been spinning and knitting and just started sewing. Yes, that is why I'm back here. Anyway, I think I've run out of stuff to tell you. I shall catch you all on the next one. Please stay safe, stay sane. And I think that's about all anyone can do at the moment. Keep crafting, something to do that's not just watching Netflix or wasting time during these difficult times. Please, if you liked this video, please subscribe, hit like on the video. I've tried the camera on my laptop. I don't know whether it's better than my phone. I'm hoping it is a bit, but I will continue to experiment if it's not. And I shall see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye.